We rise. Not by pushing others down, but by reaching out our hand and saying, "You matter." In a world racing to be heard, the real leaders are the ones who stop to listen. The strongest voices aren't always the loudest, they're the ones that echo in the hearts of others. And if you want to win people, not just their attention, but their trust, their respect, their loyalty, you won't find it in dominance. You'll find it in dignity. You won't find it in force. You'll find it in faith, faith in people, in their potential, in their unspoken value. We live in a world of noise. Everyone's shouting. Everyone's posturing. But the people who truly lead, the ones who make others feel like more, not less, those are the ones who move the world forward. Dale Carnegie once said, "There is only one way to get anybody to do anything. And that is by making the other person want to do it." You don't manipulate people into action. You inspire them. You don't bend them to your will. You lift them with your belief. You become the kind of person who others feel better simply by being around. That is influence. That is power. And that is rare. The truth is, people don't follow titles. They follow courage. They follow kindness wrapped in strength. They follow those who see the gold inside them, even when they only see stone. Abraham Lincoln knew this. When others sought vengeance, he chose empathy. When the country was torn in two, he didn't conquer the South, he welcomed them home. "Do I not destroy my enemies," he said, "when I make them my friends?" Lincoln understood something most leaders never learn: you don't have to be feared to be respected. You don't have to dominate to lead. You just have to care, really care. Because people don't forget how you made them feel. They don't forget who saw them when they were invisible. They don't forget the hand that pulled them out of the dark. But you can't lift others until you first shift your mindset. You have to believe that greatness isn't a competition, it's a contagion. When one person rises, we all do. The success of another doesn't diminish you. It expands the ceiling of what's possible. So stop treating life like a zero-sum game. Your light doesn't dim because someone else shines. On the contrary, real leaders light the candles of others. And suddenly the whole room glows. That's the paradox of power: the more you give, the more you get. But giving isn't about charity. It's about championing. It's not about throwing crumbs. It's about saying, "Pull up a seat. You belong here." That belief, that inclusion, that trust, it builds a bridge no title, no command, no fear ever could. Because when you lift someone, you build a bond. And no one forgets who gave them wings when they had none. And if you're wondering how to start small. Not with grand speeches or heroic acts, but with presence. Because in the eyes of someone struggling, your attention is an act of revolution. Most people don't need you to fix them. They just need to be seen. To be heard. To be reminded, you're not alone in this. That small moment. That fleeting second when someone feels they matter, it plants a seed of self-worth that can grow into destiny. Look at Thomas Edison. He was told he was too stupid to learn anything. His teachers gave up on him. But his mother didn't. She pulled him out of school, taught him at home, and gave him something far more valuable than knowledge. She gave him belief. And belief changed the world. Because one day, that same boy who was labeled a failure would light up the entire planet. Never underestimate what one voice of belief can do. It can spark ideas. It can heal wounds no one else sees. It can resurrect someone who's been buried alive beneath years of doubt and shame. You don't need money to lift someone. You don't need fame or fortune. You just need the courage to care. But caring, that takes strength. It takes you out of your ego and into your impact. It means choosing understanding when anger feels easier. It means resisting the urge to win arguments, and choosing instead to win people. It means looking past the surface, past the mask, past the behavior, and seeing the soul behind the storm. And let's be clear, lifting someone doesn't mean enabling their comfort zone. It means challenging them with compassion. It means believing in their higher self, not pandering to their lesser one. Henry Ford didn't become who he was by surrounding himself with yes men. He hired people who pushed, who stretched, who challenged the limits. But he also believed in people so deeply, he made them believe in themselves. That's the sweet spot: support with standards, love with leadership, encouragement with expectation. It's easy to criticize, easy to complain, easy to find faults. But if you want to lead, if you want to win people over, you have to do what most never will: be the builder in a world of critics. Don't just point out the cracks, pour in the gold. Like the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The flaw isn't hidden, it's highlighted. Because it tells a story. A story of resilience. A story of beauty in imperfection. People are like that too. They don't need you to pretend they're flawless. They need you to help them see their strength in the scars. They need you to say, "You've been through hell. And look at you, still here, still fighting, still becoming." That is how you win hearts. Not by being perfect. Not by being above. But by being with, by meeting people where they are, and loving them into where they could be. And the irony? When you do that, when you lift others without asking for anything in return, you don't just win people. You win yourself, because every time you lift someone else, you rise a little higher too. Not in status, not in applause, but in substance. In significance. That's the quiet reward of selfless leadership, the deep, unshakable knowing that your presence meant something. That you didn't just exist, you mattered. And that's what people are starving for today. Not more noise. Not more content. But connection. Genuine, heart-level connection. Because behind every polished profile, every confident smile, every so-called success story, there's a human being quietly asking, "Do I matter to anyone?" And the person who answers that question with empathy, with honesty, with presence, that's the one people follow. Look at Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison. Most would have emerged bitter, vengeful, ready to settle the score. But Mandela understood something greater. He understood that if you want to change a nation, you don't harden hearts, you heal them. He lifted his enemies, forgave his jailers, and in doing so, won the soul of a divided country. That is what true power looks like. Because lifting others doesn't make you weak, it reveals your strength. It takes backbone to choose grace when you've been wronged. It takes depth to choose hope when the world chooses cynicism. But history belongs to those who choose light over fear. And influence belongs to those who choose people over pride. It starts with how you speak. Words are tools, or weapons. You can use them to tear down, or to build someone's future. One kind sentence, one genuine compliment, one moment of unexpected encouragement, it can alter the trajectory of someone's life. You may never even know it. But they will never forget it. Think of the teacher who stayed after class to say, "I see greatness in you." The boss who didn't just demand results, but believed in your vision. The friend who didn't run when you were broken, but pulled you to your feet and reminded you who you are. These are the people we carry with us. Not the critics. Not the ones who tried to make us feel small. But the lifters. The expanders. The ones who looked us in the eye and said, "You've got this." And that can be you. Not someday. Not when you've made it. Now. Right now. You don't need to be perfect to lift others. You don't need all the answers. You just need the intention. The willingness to say, even if I'm still figuring out my own path, I can help someone else take the next step on theirs. That's leadership. Not authority. But authenticity. Not perfection. But presence. Not ego. But elevation. So choose to elevate. Choose to see people. Speak life into their silence. See worth in their weariness. Show them they're not invisible, and they're not alone. Because when you lift someone else, you light a fire in both of you. And that fire? It doesn't just warm the moment, it ignites movements. And movements don't start with millions. They start with one. One person who chooses compassion over control. One person who chooses faith over fear. One person who decides, "I will not use my influence to climb above others, I will use it to pull them up with me." That one spark becomes a blaze. Because the truth is, you don't have to be extraordinary to lift someone, you just have to be available. You don't need a stage. You don't need a spotlight. You just need to show up, fully, intentionally, consistently. Because most people aren't looking for a savior. They're just hoping someone will notice them before they fall. And when you become that person, you stop waiting for the world to change. You become the change. That's what makes the quiet heroes so powerful. The single mom who works 3 jobs and still finds time to encourage her children's dreams. The janitor who greets every student like they're royalty because he knows what it feels like to be overlooked. The coach who doesn't just train athletes, but builds humans, stronger, wiser, more resilient. These are the world changers history won't always remember. But people will never forget. Because people don't follow perfection. They follow truth. They follow those who are real, who show up with open hands instead of closed fists. Those who don't lead by fear or manipulation, but by example. By humility. By strength that's quiet but unmistakable. And sometimes, lifting someone means telling them the truth they're scared to hear. But in a way that helps them rise, not shrink. It means saying, "I know this isn't who you are. I see more in you than this." It means calling someone out, but only because you're calling them up. You're not pushing them down to feel taller. You're reaching into the fog of their confusion and saying, "This way." You're not lost. I've been there too. That kind of leadership, heart-centered, purpose-driven, people-first, isn't always recognized by the world. But it is felt. Felt in the conversations that stay with you for years. Felt in the shift of someone who once felt forgotten, now walking with their head high because you reminded them of their value. It's in the echo of a life changed by one choice: to lift instead of judge, to support instead of compete, to serve instead of seek status. And here's the secret the world rarely teaches: you don't lose power when you give it. You multiply it. Because what you give in belief, comes back in trust. What you give in respect, comes back in loyalty. What you give in kindness, comes back in influence, the kind that lasts longer than titles, longer than applause, longer than legacy even. Because legacy is not built in moments of glory. It's built in moments of grace. And grace is a hand that lifts again and again, without needing credit, without needing thanks. Just the quiet satisfaction of knowing, someone stood taller today because of me. And when you begin to live that way, lifting others as a way of being, not just doing, something inside you changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop measuring success by what you've achieved and start measuring it by what you've ignited. Because the greatest success isn't standing at the top alone. It's looking around and realizing you brought others with you. This is where true fulfillment lives. Not in power, not in possessions, but in people. In the quiet victories no one sees, the anxious intern who found her voice because you gave her the space. The frustrated teammate who stayed one more day because of your encouragement. The discouraged friend who saw hope again. Because you believed when they couldn't. You don't need 1,000 followers to change the world. You need one moment of sincerity. One act of belief. One voice that says, "I see you. I believe in you. Let's rise together." That kind of leadership isn't taught in boardrooms or seminars. It's lived in the trenches. In real conversations. In the pauses between tasks. In the choice to notice someone instead of rushing past. It's built slowly, brick by people who know that every interaction is either a weight or a lift. So ask yourself, what are you leaving behind in the people who cross your path? Are you planting seeds of doubt? Or roots of confidence? Are you draining the room? Or lighting it up? Because your presence is either a burden or a blessing. And every day, you decide which one it will be. Walt Disney once said, "There is no magic in magic. It's all in the details." And lifting others is exactly that, a detail. A habit. A decision to be intentional where others are indifferent. You don't need fireworks. You just need focus. You just need to ask, how can I leave this person better than I found them? Because here's the hard truth, you cannot lift others from the sidelines. You must enter their world. You must be willing to get close enough to understand their fears, without being consumed by them. Close enough to feel their weight, without carrying it for them. Close enough to say, "I've been where you are. And I'm still here. So keep going." That level of empathy? It's rare. It's vulnerable. It's uncomfortable. But it's everything. Because when someone feels truly understood, they become unstoppable. When someone feels seen, they find their strength. And when someone feels lifted, not out of pity, but out of respect, they rise beyond what they ever believed was possible. So if you want to win people over, don't focus on being impressive. Focus on being impactful. Don't strive to be remembered for your accomplishments. Be remembered for how you made others believe in theirs. Because at the end of it all, people won't recall the title on your nameplate. They'll remember how they felt in your presence. And the feeling that someone lifted them. That stays forever.